Like they are beyond the duties to all the.
That shloka is about many pictures.
So, but why not ask like I and
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his system, he said that the brahmacharis, the separated vanaprastha men, and the sannyasis, they were the ones who were supposed to live in the mutt or monastery. And he expected all of them to function as nirapekshas. It's not like the Vedic brahmachari, vanaprastha, sannyas. This is, he expected much more than. He expected that basically will function as nirapekshas.
when you're not confident, when one is not into that, doing that here or maybe to our parents, to something.
Nirapekshas have no duties.
When we are not attached to that now.
Then that is then he's functioning as within the varnashrama system, he's carrying out his duty as a brahmachari. That may be. In which case, then you'll have to look into varnashrama dharma. Then they will calculate whether it's a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. Brahmachari can be brahmana. No, wait, it's like this. The brahmachari can be brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya. Grihastha can be all the four. Brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. Then vanaprastha can be brahmanas and kshatriyas. And then sannyas is only for brahmanas. Brahmashastra regulation standard. And it's not a strange thing, it's just very strange. Actually, it's very strange to have a kshatriya sannyasi or a vaishya sannyasi. Kshatriya sannyasi is very attractive to young girls. It's just very strange. He always wants to physically protect. Sannyasi is meant to be Brahmanic. It's meant to be the guru of the Brahmanas. So it's properly aligned, it's properly organized. The Kshatriyas, Baladev Vidyabhushan will say, we will see this later on. The Kshatriyas, sometimes we come across situations where Kshatriyas have become sannyasis. But that is after they have upgraded themselves into Brahmanas by Gunakarma. They started functioning. And they are, even Vishwamitra, he was initially a Kshatriya, then he became a Brahmana. Very difficult. Very difficult to be done. To upgrade one varna within one lifetime, it is difficult. Through the, if you engage in pure sadhana bhakti, that's a different issue. But apart from that, to directly just manually upgrade it, it's quite difficult. It is difficult. Not an easy thing. Okay, let's continue. Did we complete 44? Okay, 44.
That we are very driven by the desire to enjoy our happiness, we are intent on seeing our own infinite.
Okay. Bandhu Vardha Adhyavasayena api papam sambhavati. And then he considers that there is a possibility that that there would be sinful reactions simply by becoming determined to kill the relatives, not even to actually do it, just by thinking about it, the planning for it and so on. So he thinks that even that could be a problem. So what to speak of actually engaging Sambhavya Anutapan. So then he is in lamentation. That's when he speaks this. Bata indicates a doubt. He is he has his own doubts. He's not clear. Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Avoid such activities means avoid sinful activities. You cannot be spiritual without being moral. Bhakti repeatedly talks about this. Bhakti Siddhanta talks about this. Complete craziness. I can be immoral. I can commit sinful activities as I like, whimsical. Vaishnava. Okay, text 45.
Better for me, with the sons of Dhritarashtra, Vidvan in hand, who are cooking unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield.
So even when I'm not resisting, if they want to attack me, it's all right. It's all right. That would be in fact better. Shematar, Atihit. It would lead me to something good. Prananta prayaschitta papa. So let me give up my life. That itself is my prayaschitta, my atonement. By that, the sinful reaction that I've acquired by planning to kill my relatives will go away. Bhishmadayastu na tat papa phalam prapsanti. Bhishma and the others will never attain the result of sinful reactions. This is the implication. It is a custom according to Kshatriya fighting principles that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjuna, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. All these symptoms are due to soft-heartedness resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. 46.
Sanjay Uvacha Evam Vajum Sanke Rasota Rato Vastra Upadishu Kisar Visrijasam Sharam Papam Shiruka Samavitna Mahasa. Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrow and sat down on the saddle. His mind poured in secretly.
Tatah came aboard, and then what happened? Anticipating this, Sanjay said, Evam Uttam. The text beginning, Evam Uttam. Sankhya Yudhe Rato Vaste Rato Bhavashati. So he sat down. Arjuna sat down. Purvam Yudhaya Pati Yodhri Vilokanaya Uttithasa. He had previously gotten up to see his opponents in war. Now he sat down. Baladev Vidya Prabhu gives this conclusion. Ahimsasya Atma Jigyasa Tayadrasya Upajayate Tad Viruddhasya Naiveti Prathama Upadharitam. For a soul who is non-violent, whose heart is moist with compassion, Atma Jigyasa, or inquiry about spiritual subjects, arise. Then Viruddhasya na eva, and certainly for a person who is not non-violent, who is not compassionate, it does not happen. Iti Prathamadipataritam. This is the lesson to learn from the first chapter. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Contents of the Gita summarized. Discrimination about the soul, about spirit and matter. Contents of the Gita summarized. Okay, text 1. Somebody.
Sanjaya Uvacha Tampatha Tatyavishtam Astrotam Bhaktale Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind distressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan, Krishna spoke the following verse.
Okay. द्वितीय जीव याथात्म्य ज्ञानम तत् साधनम विहि निष्काम कर्म च प्रोचे स्थितप्रज्ञस्य लक्षणम. In the second chapter, Lord Hari talks about the following subjects. He presents knowledge about the factual nature of the jiva. He also presents the means by which one can realize that knowledge, and that means is nishkama karma. Nishkama karma is, I should clearly get it printed. This combination is called nishkama karma. If you have a desire to attain liberation, the labels are given according to what is predominant. Always karma requires jnana and bhakti, but when most of the time goes to karma, that combination is known as karma overall. Here also you find karma, jnana, bhakti, but this combination is called bhakti. So this is referred to as karma, karma yoga, and so on. Whereas this is referred to as bhakti, bhakti yoga, and so on. That is because pradhanyata upadesha bhavanti. Labels are given according to what is predominant. Standard nirakshira nyaya. The example of milk and water. When you have a cup which is filled with milk and water, if there is 75% water and 25% milk, then it is milky water. It is water actually. So it is basically water only, mixed with something. On the other hand, if you have 75% milk, 25% milk, then that is watery milk. It is actually milk with some water. So the labels are given according to what is predominant. Okay. This is exclusive bhakti label. This is called Kevala Bhakti. See, there's only the bhakti label. Nothing else is there in this combination. Whereas here, it is not Kevala Bhakti, but there are other items, but Bhakti is predominant. Therefore, this combination is called Bhakti. There is one Acharya named Yamuna Acharya, who was the grand spiritual master of Ramanujacharya. And he says this expression in yoga, we come across Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. This is called yoga. But within that, when within that combination of karma, jnana, bhakti, when karma is predominant, then it is karma predominant, karma, jnana, bhakti. That is what is called karma yoga. When you have bhakti predominant, karma, jnana, bhakti, that is called bhakti yoga. Similarly, it is possible to have jnana predominant, karma, jnana, bhakti. That is called jnana. So it is not that on the platform of karma, when they are interested in liberation, it is called nishkama karma. When they just want trivarga, dharma and karma, that is called sakama. Okay. So because here we are only talking of at least the first track, they are interested in attaining liberation. See, primarily they are interested in liberation. I want to learn. Second track, they are primarily interested in loving service unto the Supreme Lord. So they're primarily interested in love of God. Okay. Okay, let's get back. So he taught Nishkama Karma as the means by which one can realize the Jivatma. Realize the Jivatma means realize that the Jivatma is not the body. And he also spoke about the characteristics of a Sthita Prajna, one whose consciousness is fixed in transcendence. Evam Arjuna Vairagyam Pushpitya. So upon hearing Arjuna's Vairagya, detachment and renunciation. Swaputra Rajya Abramsha, something is wrong. Krishyam, Dhritarashtra, Alakshya, Sanjaya. So then Dhritarashtra was thinking that Arjuna is going to become detached, and my sons are going to enjoy the kingdom. And he was in delight. And then Sanjay, he breaks that delight by now describing in the second chapter that he surrendered unto Lord Krishna. Abhamsha Ashaya. Correct. I want someone to read this one.
But both material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of drowning men is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of misery cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya and his conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose, Bhagavad Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization and analytical study of the material body and the spirit. Soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Sri Krishna. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to routine results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self.
See, there's nothing wrong in saving the clothes of a drowning man, provided you save the drowning man also. Normally, when a drowning man is, when a man is drowning, when you save him with the clothes. When you save him, you don't throw the clothes and save him. You save him with the clothes. But if you don't care for whether he's dead or alive, and you only want to save the clothes, that's foolish. So similarly, to be materially compassionate towards those to whom you are also spiritually compassionate, that is the proper thing. Prabhupada himself he said, I'm willing to provide food for anyone who comes and surrenders unto Krishna's lotus feet. Because when they surrender to Krishna's lotus feet, we provide them devotional service, we help them make spiritual progress. Along with them, we'll give them roti kapda, we'll give them some food, we'll give them some shelter, we'll give them clothing, we'll take care of their health, all these things we'll do. Provided they are taking up the primary activity of spiritual development. If they don't want spiritual development and they want material development, then we are not interested. So that we should be very careful about. Throughout Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada condemns materialistic philanthropy very severely. That is why he keeps saying, we are not interested in building all these materialistic hospitalities. Where they don't care whether your anarthas are going away and all that. They simply want externally to take care of their body. And Prabhupada keeps saying, no, but Brahmanas, they are not interested in this. That is all. Actually, the Kshatriyas, they are the ones who are supposed to do it. The Brahmanas, what are they interested in? Spiritual development. Because if people don't become moral and spiritual, they will again do some sinful activity, again they will become sinful. So you are not solving the problem. It is not that we are indifferent to their problems. Rather, we are interested in a serious final solution to the problem. Final solution we want. We want to give you that kind of medicine by which you will not fall sick again. That is the basic concept. Okay, text 2.
Shri Bhagavan Vacham Bhutasva Kasmavam Vishame Samapathitam Anaryajushtamatvarjam Abhijitaram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They led not to higher planes, but to infamy.
But here, the first point to note is Sri Bhagavan. This expression has been used. Sri Baladev says, Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashashasriya vairagyasya athamokshasya shamnam bhavetikam. Whereas, don't we also have the same verse? Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya jnana vairagyasya shamnam bhavetikam. This is a statement from Vishnu Purana that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the one who possesses 6 opulences. Bhagavan means opulence. Bhagavan, one who possesses these opulences. These are all spiritual opulences. So when you come across this expression, Bhagavan, that is the one meaning of Bhagavan. But there is a meaning of Bhagavan which is even more primary to that. Vadanti tattva sattam jnanamateyam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shakti. Bhagavan. So Prabhupada first of all spends time explaining this first meaning of Bhagavan. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. The absolute truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding. Namely, Brahman or the impersonal all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma or the localized aspect of the Supreme in the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus: Vadanti tattvavidas, tattvam jnanamadvayam, brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shakyate. The absolute truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the standard example of the sun. So you have 3 aspects. You have the sunshine, the sun surface, and the sun planet itself. All 3 are referred to as the sun. But nevertheless, there is vague perception of the sun. There is partial perception of the sun. And there is complete perception of the sun. So like that, the absolute truth is actually Bhagavan. But when he is partially perceived, the content of your partial perception is called Paramatma. And when he is vaguely perceived, then the content of their vague perception is called Brahman. It's like a person who's, there are some people who actually cannot see sufficiently. They can only see blurred, unclear. So they can, if you look at when they look at the sun, they don't see a round circle. They just see something. So those who are jnanis, when they meditate, in their meditation, when they are blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are allowed to see the Brahman equivalent. So these people are variety blind. They cannot see spiritual variety. So they only see that much. More advanced is the person who sees the spiritual effulgence of the Lord. And he also sees how the Lord is present inside material existence, controlling everything. So the form with which the Lord is present in the material existence and is controlling everything, that is Paramatma. Whereas one who fully perceives the Supreme Lord, he perceives that he is in the spiritual world where he is by himself. He is just by himself. By himself with all those who are affectionately serving him, and he is affectionately taking care of them. That is what he is by himself. And then he is also taking care of the conditioned souls. And then he is also exhibiting his Brahman effulgence. So the 3 levels of perception. And the content of perception of each of this is different. Even though what they are actually perceiving, their object of perception is the same one. Okay. Therefore, it is said, Advayam. This jnana is Advayam. He is fully spiritual. Then the second meaning. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva. The Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached. But no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Now, the living entities, they are categorically different from the Supreme Lord. They are his part and parcels. Whereas Lord Shiva, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains in Matsuriya Kadambini that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he touches Maya as a pastime, then he assumes the form of Lord Shiva. So first he assumes the form of Lord Shiva in order to touch Maya as a pastime. As a pastime indicates that he's not controlled by Maya. So he is the hands-on controller, whereas Lord Narayana is hands-off. He does not even touch Maya. So that is Lord Shiva. Lilayas Vikrita Mayas Sparsha. Whereas Lord Narayana, he does not even touch. Then there are the Vishnu Tattvas. But the Vishnu Tattvas don't exhibit all the opulences. Out of the 64 primary qualities of Krishna that you come across in nectar devotion, Lord Narayana does not exhibit the final 4 primary qualities. So therefore, none of them exhibit the opulences as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Nandradha Govinda Sarva Karanam. And another point to note is Krishna is not an incarnation of Vishnu. Krishna himself is the original source of all the Vishnu Tattvas. Iti Champikalapamsa Krishna Survarvansva. These are all this Vadanti Tattva Vidas Tattva Nidyanam Advayam. This verse. So actually, there are certain books of Jiva Goswami, commonly known as Shat Sandarbha, officially called Bhagavata Sandarbha. The second half of the first Sandarbha, Tattva Sandarbha, is an explanation of the, you see this verse on page 66, Vadanti Tattva Vidas Tattva Nidyanam Advayam. That line is elaborated in that book, Tattva Sandarbha. Then Brahmeti and Bhagavaniti, they both are clarified in the next volume in that series called Bhagavat Sandarbha. Paramatmeti is clarified in a book called Paramatma Sandarbha. And then this verse, Ede Chamsha Kalapamsa Krishna Subharvansva, this verse, this is explained in Krishna Sandarbha. There's a lot of analysis discussion on this. Prabhupada is just put a one-drop summary. That's all. So in the very presence of Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, that Arjuna had become averse to his own dharma, is very much irritating to Lord Krishna. He calls it a contamination, Ashmalam. And then, why is it called a contamination? Because it is criticized by the civilized people. Arjuna is meant to be the crest jewel amongst the Kshatriyas, but he is now in this critical moment when it is time for him to go for a war. He is not going. So Lord Krishna initially begins with very severe criticism that he has misunderstood dharma to be adharma. Nacha mokshaya swargaya kirtaye va etar yuddha vairagyam. This detachment and renunciation from the warfare, this will not lead him to liberation. It will not lead him to heavenly planets. It will not make him famous in this world. So he has lost it for material happiness in this life, no material happiness next life, no spiritual happiness also next life. Aryahi mukshubhi nadishtam sayitam. This is not acceptable to Aryas. Arya refers to one who is hankering for liberation. Aryakanu hrid vishuddhaye swadharman acharanti. Aryas, they execute their swadharma, their material duties for hrid vishuddhi, for purification of heart. Swargyam swarto palam bhakta dharma viruddham. This rejection of the warfare is opposed to dharma which can take one to swarga. Akirtikaram, kirti viplavakam, it can completely destroy his fame. The word aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, and are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as being the non-Aryans, as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. It's a very great blunder, actually, to give up material dharma. It's a very, very great blunder. Okay, text 3.
Does not become give us certification of heart and alliance with the standard of the
Nanu bandha kshaya adyavasaya doshat prakampitena maya kim bhavi. What am I supposed to think? I'm just trembling in fear of getting into a problematic situation. Because if we plan to kill our own relatives, we will get into deep trouble. What I'm supposed to think? Anticipating that Arjuna would be thinking like this. Iti chetatraha climbing speaks the current verse. Hey Partha, O son of Pritha. Partha, O son of Pritha. O son of Pritha itself has an indication behind it. Devaraja prasadat Pritha yam utpannam. You are born to Pritha by the mercy of the king of the Devas. So you have a very noble heritage behind you. That's the invitation. Don't become frightened. Don't become agitated. You are my friend Arjuna. You have conquered over the whole world. It is not appropriate that you have this kind of non-masculine nature, like as if you are a Kshatra Bandhu. We have Brahma Bandhu, we know this expression. Like that, there is an expression called Kshatra Bandhu. Kshatra Bandhu means the son of a Kshatriya. It's a very polite way of saying pseudo Kshatriya. No, Name Shaurya Bhava Rupam Klaibya. No, I'm not a eunuch. Klaibya actually means the nature of a eunuch. One who is not male, one who is not female. I'm not that. It's not that I don't have heroism in me. Into Bhishmadishu Pujyeshu Dharma Buddhya Vivekaha I am. Rather I'm exhibiting discriminating knowledge here out of intelligence. That intelligence is based on dharma, because I'm thinking about how to relate to my worshipable Bhishma and the others. Duryodhana Adishu, let's take it up. Duryodhana Adishu, Ratrishu Mat Shastra Praharena Marishyatsu Kripayam. My worshipable superiors like Bhishma and my brothers like Duryodhana. They're all going to die when I shoot my arrows at them, my weapons at them, when I attack them with my weapons. So this is my compassion upon them. So Arjuna might be thinking like this, but Lord Krishna, he slams him back with the second half of the verse. Shudram. Naite tava viveka kripe. This is not signs of your discriminating knowledge and compassion. Into Shudram, Lahishtam, most insignificant. Hridaya Daurbalya Meva. It is nothing but weakness of heart. These are all bad words in the philosophy of Vedic culture. So when someone says you have a weak heart, it means that you cannot do good to yourself, you cannot do good to others. Mediate. So, Tasmat, Tat Tyaktva, Yudhaya Uttishta, Sajiva. Give up all these things. Get up for war. Prepare to fight. Hey Parantapa, Shatrun, Tapana. You can burn up your enemies. Shatru Hasa Patrata Maga. Now don't become a laughing stock of your enemies. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. And therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Now, this is a point that we should think about a little bit, because heritage is considered very important in Vedic culture. When we take to a spiritual process through Diksha, then we accept a spiritual heritage, not a biological heritage. Some members of ISKCON, of course, are born into ISKCON, so they have a spiritual and a material heritage. But others, we have a spiritual heritage. But nevertheless, the heritage is important. We should not do something by which our spiritual forefathers get bad name. Because people will judge, materialistic people will judge predecessors based on their thinking, feeling, willing, acting of the followers. Just like if a community of Christians, they engage in immoral activities, then people will think, common people who are ignorant, they will think, oh, this is all because all starting from Christ. Everything is wrong. The whole apple is rotten. It's all empty. The same way when we do something wrong, we're giving a bad name to Prabhupada, his predecessor Acharya, everything. So this conception of heritage is something very important. Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authorities. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. We already saw weakness of heart that has certain subdivisions. Okay, then we get to hear Arjuna. Text 4.
Arjuna Vacha Arjuna said, oh fear of money, how can I counterattack the arrows and daggers, men like Bhishma and Gauranga, who are worthy of mercy?
Now Bhishmadishu prati yodhrishtu satsu tvaya katham nivadbhavyam ahuto nanvateta iti yuddhavidanakya kshatriyasya iti che tatraha katham. Then Arjuna, he anticipates Lord Krishna might present an argument um, how is it that you are not entering into a warfare when Bhishma and others are your opponents? After all, there is this injunction in the Smriti Shastra. When a Kshatriya is invited for war, then he cannot refuse. Vidvan, war is prescribed. He has to accept. That is our duty for a Kshatriya. Vijay tatraha kathami. Anticipating all that, he speaks text 4. Bhishmam pitamaham, dronam cha vidyaguru, ishibhi katham yapsi. How do you expect me to fight with arrows? Grandfather Bhishma and my Vidya Guru, my Shiksha Guru, Drona. How can you expect that? Yad dimo pujarho. Because both of them are worthy of worship. Pushpadi will appear here. They are meant to be worshipped with flowers and so on. Parihasa vagbhirapi yabhyam yuddhamnaya. You cannot fight with them even with words of joke. You're not supposed to joke at worshipable superiors. It's our standard regulation. Tabhyam saha ishyubhitat katham vidyate. And with both of them, I'm supposed to fight with arrows. How is that appropriate? Pratibhadnati shreya, pujya puja vyatikrama. All these obligations have to be carefully considered in relationship to those who are worshipable. Madhusudana, Harisudana. So he is referring to Lord Krishna here as, oh, killer of enemies, or killer of Madhu. The basic idea is you kill enemies, you kill demons. You don't kill in war your grandfather Ugrasen. You're not Ugrasena Sudana. You're not Sandipani Muni Sudana. You don't kill your Guru. Why are you telling me to do that? Prabhupada explains it in a lecture like this. Respectable superiors like Bhishma, the grandfather, and Dronacharya, the teacher, are always worshipable. Even if they attack, they should not be counterattacked. It is general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. Even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. So these are general principles, actually. Then how is it possible for Arjuna to counterattack them? Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather Ugrasena or his teacher Sandipani Muni? These are some of the arguments offered by Arjuna to Krishna. Text 5.
It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though regarding worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tempted to life.
No, Swarajya is Pikhache. Savanasti. Okay, you may not have the hankering to win back your kingdom. Okay, but then how will you maintain your body? How are you going to survive? If Krishna were to put that argument, then Arjuna speaks the current verse. Without killing, without engaging in the slaughter of my gurus. Bhaikshyanam Kshatriyanam Indimadu is far better that I survive by getting food through begging, even though that is always criticized for Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are not supposed to do this. Kshatriyas cannot teach Shastra, Kshatriyas cannot go for begging, they cannot take charity. Kshatriyas give in charity, they don't receive charity. Even that would be better with this. Aihika Duri Yashaha Hetutve Api, even though I will get bad reputation in this life, Paraloka Avighatitva, at least my next life will be safe. This is always thinking. यदि भीष्मादयः गुरुवः अपि युद्धगर्व अवलेपा छद्मना युष्मत् राज्य अपहारं युष्मत् द्रोहं च कुर्वतां दुर्योधन आदीनां संसर्गेण कार्याकार्य विवेक विरहाच्च सम्प्रति त्याज्य एव. Okay, they may be your gurus, Bhishma, Gauranga and others, but they are now contaminated by the pride of war, and secretly they have betrayed all of you. They have stolen your kingdom because they have associated with Duryodhana and others, and therefore they have given up their sense of discrimination about what should be done and what should not be done. So right now they are going to be given up. Gurorapyavaliptasya arya karyam ajanatah utpatha pratipannasya parityago vidhiyati. It's a famous verse. In fact, it is quoted by the acharyas. Even our own acharyas, they quote this. And Jiva Goswami quotes this. For practicing Vaishnavas also he quotes it. He says this is applicable. What it means is if a guru is contaminated and if he does not know what will be done, what will not be done, and he has gone off track, then he has to be abandoned. The Smriti says it very clearly. So Arjuna is also aware of this. So Arjuna is responding to this possibility. Iti chet tatraha mahanubhava. No, but even then, these are greatly experienced souls. Mahan sabodkrita abhavaha vedadhyana brahmacharyadi hetukaha. They have studied the Vedas, they have exhibited brahmacharya. For a Kshatriya to be a brahmachari is no joke. A Kshatriya requires at least one wife. If a Kshatriya accepts only one wife, that itself is considered a very great austerity. Ekapatni Vrata. One who takes up the vow of a single wife. Ramachandra is glorified because he had only one wife. Because typically the Kshatriya position is like that. They require a lot of female glorification, appreciation. Generally, Kshatriyas are allowed to have wives, girlfriends, all these kind of things are fully allowed. And just a few women, but the whole lakhs and crores of people will be protected. It is all small investments. You are want to have wives, another wife, 10 wives. But then by that, millions of women will be protected. So Kshatriyas are generally given out this freedom. Now, Bhishma, in the middle of all this, he has accepted a vow of celibacy. Now, in Vedic culture, celibacy is not just not having sex. It means the entire celibacy program. All the 6, what in today's world we call romance, passion, sex, all of that is included in conjugal activity. And brahmacharya means not doing any of this, all of this. And Bhishma Dev, he was first class example of this. So somebody like Bhishma or somebody like Drona, even while he was about to die, he was meditating on Lord Krishna. So focused in his mind. So these are all great, very definitely very experienced persons. Kala kamadeha api yad vashyaha tesham tat dosha sambandha na iti now. So in Arjuna's opinion, he thinks all this, they have brought lust and other things like anger, fully under their control. They have even brought time under their control. Somebody like Bhishma. Bhishma cannot die unless he wants. He has to say yes to death. Imagine how powerful he is. So he's therefore Arjuna's point is no, he's all very, very experienced, super VIPs. So the ordinary rule about guru, that doesn't apply. Then he anticipates that Lord Krishna might present another argument. Arthasya Purusho Daso, Dasastu na Kasyachit. Iti Satyam Maharaja Badhosmi Arthena Kauravaihi. Iti Bhishma Pe. Bhishma had made a famous statement that a man is a servant of money, and money is not a servant of any man. This is a fact. Great King Yudhishthira, I am bound by the Kauravas because of money. They have been, I belong to Hastinapur, they have been financing me, so I have to fight by their side. Iti Bhishma Pehe, Asalovena Vikrita Atmana, he has sold his soul out of greed for money. Tesham Putaha Mahanu Bhavata. So how you can say that these are greatly experienced souls? Tato Yudhe Antavyahate. So therefore they need to be killed in the war. So anticipating this possibility. Then he says, Hatvartha Kamantu Guruni Haiva. The second half of the verse. Bhunjiya Bhova Vidrappadita. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Tathacha, Yuddha Garva, Avalepavi, Mahvepi. So whatever defect they may have, still they are my Guru. So again and again, I am accepting them as my Guru. According to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers, but Arjuna thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. 6.
Now do you know who is better, conquered them or being conquered by him? If we kill the son of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield.
No, you know very well that Kshatriyas are not supposed to eat by begging. Yuddham cha swadharmam vijananavi bhashasi. And still you are speaking so strangely. Even though you know that Yuddha, warfare, is the swadharma for Kshatriyas. Then Arjuna, he says, actually, I don't know what is good for us. Between begging and war, what is actually better? It's not clear to me. Himsa virahat bhakshyam gariya. Begging is better because there's no violence there. Swadharmatvad yuddham va. But because but the battle is my swadharma. So is this better or is that better? Etachana vidvan. Samarabdhe yuddhe vayam dhardharashtan jayema deva no asman jayema. I also don't know. Now the war is beginning. Don't know whether I'm going to win, whether we are going to win, or whether the other group, whether they will win. Now, all of you are certainly going to win because you have very great prowess. You're all fixed in dharma. So certainly only you will win. Is it not? Then Arjuna thinks, we would not even care to live if the sons of Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, and the others don't exist. So then what to speak of enjoying in their absence? So even if we were to win, actually it will turn out to be a defeat. In either case, it's a defeat for me. Whether we actually win the kingdom or we don't win the kingdom. Tasmad yuddhasya bhaishyad dariyaha. So therefore, I think that begging is better. Evam etavata grantham. So up till now, tasmad evam vikshanta danta uparatastitikshu shraddhanvito bhutva atman eva atmanam pashyet. Iti shruti prasiddham. Arjunasya jnana adhikaritvam dashyati. So till now, what the Mahabharata text discloses is that Arjuna had the eligibility for receiving spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge means knowledge about liberation. And then there are certain features that a qualified person is meant to have. One, he's supposed to have knowledge about certain things. He's supposed to have control of mind, control of senses. He's supposed to be detached. He's supposed to be tolerant. He's supposed to have faith in a person who knows about the process by which one can get liberated. So each and every one of these features is there in Arjuna. He said, why should I have a kingdom? That indicates that his mind was under control, his senses were under control. He said, even if I were to be given the kingdom of the three worlds, I would not accept it. So that indicates that he is detached. He is not interested in happiness, material happiness in this life. He is not interested in material happiness next life. When he said, it's far better that I go for begging, then that indicates that he has the feature of titiksha, tolerance, which means to tolerate the dualities of material existence, sometimes happiness, sometimes distress. Guru Vakya Trida Vishwasa Lakshana Shraddha, to Uttaravakya Vyakti Bhavishyati. And his faith in the person who knows the process of liberation, that will be revealed now. You'll have faith in Krishna's instructions. Na khalu samadhi shunyasya jnane asti adhikaraha. For a person who does not have these features, there is no eligibility for jnana, for spiritual knowledge. Pangvade eva karmani. Just like a lame person cannot walk, that person he cannot attain liberation from material existence. Now, why is Baladev bringing this out? There's a reason for that. Our dear Shankaracharya has brought in the theory that Krishna did not really speak all the facts about spiritual life to Arjuna, because Arjuna is a Kanishta Adhikari. Why is he a Kanishta Adhikari? Because he's a Grihastha. He's a Kshatriya. So, because he's a Kshatriya, he's not a renounced. So obviously, he's not fit. And that's a very basic principle in Vedic civilization called Adhikara, that I call Adhikara Uchita Shiksha. Teaching according to eligibility. If you don't have eligibility, you are not taught higher teachings. This is not by itself wrong. By itself, this is correct. This principle is correct. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raghunath Das, if you examine their dealings, Raghunath Das always wants to run away and go to Guru. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Shantipur, Raghunath Das Adhikari, married man, his father and uncle were basically financing the entire Nadia district, Malvik Mandal, all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Millionaires, they had so much money. When he went to Shantipur and he told Lord Chaitanya, I want to be in Jagannath Puri, I want to be next to your lotus feet, which means I want to personally be there. Then Lord Chaitanya told him, don't talk like a crazy man. Don't renounce like a monkey. Go back home. Follow the principle of Yukta Vairagya. Accept all sense objects without detachment, without attachment, with a detached spirit. And Lord Chaitanya told that and said, when Krishna is merciful upon you, you will get the opportunity. Raghunath Das Adhikari comes back. Then he helps his father and uncle in business. Externally, he lived like a materialist. They got into some complicated problem with the local Muslim tax collector. And then Raghunatha solved that problem with great intelligence. So in that way, he lives. Again, he wants to run away. He's trying to run away, and they catch him and catch him and catch him and catch him. Every time it is failing. Then he meets Lord Nityananda Prabhu at Panihati. By this time, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they all know, here is the son of a millionaire who wants to give up everything and go and live in Jagannath Puri. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was exceptionally renounced in Jagannath Puri. We know that from Chaitanya Charitamrita, how the Lord was externally very much renounced also. So he wants to give up everything and go live as a sannyasi there, under Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. So then Nityananda Prabhu says, "You are a thief, you are trying to steal my property." And then he conducts the Chiragadi festival and orders all of his dear associates to bless Raghunath Das. All of you bless that very soon Raghunath Das will be able to attain what he is cherishing. His cherished desire will be fulfilled. Then one night, Raghunath Das, he returns. Then one night, Raghunath Das cheats his guru and runs away to Jagannath Puri. He runs away by not through a side pathway, not through the main road. Through various lanes he goes, and after 12 days or so, he reaches Jagannath Puri. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most happy to receive him and says, "You are like a worm stuck in the stool pit of family life. Welcome." Why he didn't say this last year? Last year, same thing only here, Raghunath Das was saying to Lord Chaitanya. Because at that time, he was not eligible. He was not eligible. Now he is eligible. So when you are eligible, then you receive a different set of instructions. So Lord Chaitanya hosts him, puts him under the care of Sarup Damodar Goswami, and then requests Gauranga to give Mahaprasadam. In fact, Lord Chaitanya is on the and after some time, Raghunath Das gives it up. So I think he goes to Jagannath Puri temple.
He takes the child also.
He was taking initially, he was taking the sadhana also.
Then they
then he gives up that also. And at each stage, when Raghunath Das gives up that, Lord Chaitanya says that's correct. If that is correct, why he didn't say that last week? Because he was not eligible. As his eligibility increases, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approves. In fact, in the pathway of Raga Bhakti, the devotee himself, internally, Krishna inspires him to do the correct thing according to Guru Sadhu Shastri. And the Guru simply approves it. That's all. That means everything has to be correct. Everything has to be correct. Your thinking, feeling, willing, desiring, everything has to be perfect. Otherwise, Krishna will not guide you. Then that is Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti will require a spiritual master and other Vaishnavas to guide you. So there is something in reality called Adhikaruchita Shiksha. There is this principle is recognized everywhere. It's not just the Mayavadis saying. Vaishnavas also accept it. That if you have a candidate who is not fit to hear a particular level of spiritual instruction, you give something lower. Because that is what he's meant to hear. That is, we see in ISKCON itself, we see some brahmachari, lusty, disturbed, not very serious. So then the Guru says, you must get married. And if you know what I am surrendering unto Krishna, the words are the Chachara Sucheta. You marry. Don't think wife is a wife. She is a devotee. She is Krishna's property. You have to take care of her. Anasaktasya Vishyan Yathatma Upayunjata Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yuttam Vairagya Uchyate. We hear all the time, we hear. Standard. No, woman is Maya. Woman is not Maya. She is Yoga Maya. He is helping you in Krishna consciousness. So he is helping you in Krishna consciousness. He must marry. When he gets married, and he follows everything properly, mind is not disturbed, restless. Not focused on Krishna consciousness. Beautiful, but he's just caught up with all these things. Then 10 years, 20 years, 30 years passes. Now he's almost 60 years old. And then the Guru sees the same disciple. And then he tells him, you're a Maya. Vidvan, what is that? You're stuck in the pit of materialistic life. Vidvatma patam, grihamantu, vanam gato yadha, Hari Ashrayata. You couldn't take shelter of Hari in the forest. What are you doing? Stuck with a woman. What is this? Cheat. Thinking you're completely absorbed in the woman. You're thinking that she is enjoyable and all that. You're meant to come on. You're meant to progress. Atma should not get and it starts producing quotation from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati one after another. So what happened now? Now she's not the Gopi or what? It's not that now that she is 50 years old, she's not Gopi. She's still a Gopi only, but you're not meant to take care of her. Yes, because now you're more advanced. When you are more advanced, if you're not more advanced, the Guru will say, just be here. Otherwise, you'll disturb the whole temple also. Don't be at home. Just take care of your work. That's all. But if he is more advanced, then naturally he will be told, now it's time to move forward. Come on. From Tamoguna to Rajoguna, from Rajoguna to Satoguna. Then from Satoguna to Shuddha Sattva. Move forward, forward, forward. So at every given step, when you progress further, then previously what was said to be bad may be said to be good now. So that depends. Even in our material life, we notice this all the time. When small child goes to school and comes back from class and plays like a rabbit and says, who are you? I am a Hare Krishna rabbit. And then the father and mother are very happy about it. But then later on, when he is after 8 years, 9 years, he does the same thing. Hare Krishna rabbit will slap and say nonsense, crazy fellow. So it's according to what the person is eligible for. So that consideration is always there. That is why we always talk about Desha, Kala, Patra, which are. There is consideration of time, there is consideration of place, there is consideration of eligibility. Patra means Adhika. What is your eligibility? What are you fit for? Are you fit for karma? What kind of bhakti are you fit for? Are you fit for this first milestone, second milestone, third milestone? Are you fit for track 1, track 2, track 3? What are you fit for? Corresponding to that, the learned Vaishnava Guru will guide that Vaishnava Shishya. So everything is carefully seen. So here also, the basic point is correct, that there must be qualification for being taught spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge means knowledge that leads you to liberation. Okay. But it is wrong to say that Arjuna did not have it. Even though Arjuna was a Grihastha, even though Arjuna was a Kshatriya. In the Upanishads also we come across Janaka, we come across other kings who were fully capable of understanding about the intricacies about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the transcendental world and so on. We study this in the 10 Upanishads also. So we cannot say that just because somebody is a Grihastha is automatically unfit and so on. Not that because he's a Grihastha, he has to be given materialistic instructions. It's not like that necessarily. Not necessarily. So, but here we notice that Baladeva Prabhu is giving evidence that Arjuna has all of the features of a bona fide disciple. Now, a bona fide disciple must be taught the complete truth, at least as much truth as he requires. So, it is very, very important to establish that Arjuna is not a Mandhadikari, not a dull person entering into the pathway of spirituality. He's not a Kanishta. He's not a third-class candidate. He's a first-class candidate. So because he's first-class candidate, Krishna actually taught the complete thing about liberation. It is not that Krishna, he just like a Vartma Pradarshaka Guru, he just says some little bit, some advertisement, something like that. He just says something and goes away. This is not an ad. Bhagavad Gita is not an ad. And Mayavadis generally think Bhagavad Gita is just a starting point, but the real stuff comes in Bhagavad Gita. They're very fond of it. Actually, the Mayavadi fellows, they like the 11th canto of Bhagavad Gita. Given the opportunity, I would like to do something about that. Present a good series of good edition of 11th canto, completely tearing apart this Mayavadi. Uddhava Gita also Krishna presents bhakti. Even better, even more strongly presents bhakti. There he says about bhakti that Krishna only speaks in few verses here and there. About Nirapekshas, he only few verses Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita. But in Uddhava Gita, he speaks even more. And it's even more clear that Krishna is real. He's not just an imagination for the worshipper. That is also a very important point. Arjuna did, okay, all these considerations by Arjuna definitely proved that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses. His desire to live by begging, although he was born in the royal household, is another sign of detachment. He was truly virtuous, as these qualities combined with his faith in the words of instructions of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate. It is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge. And without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance of liberation. Arjuna was competent in all these attributes, over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationship. Text 7.
Now I am confused about my beauty and have lost all composure because of my great weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
अच्छा तद्विज्ञानार्थं सद्गुरुमेवाभिगच्छेत् समित्वानि श्रोत्रियं ब्रह्मनिष्ठम् आचार्यवान् पुरुषो वेद इत्यादि श्रुतिसिद्धां रूपसत्यं दर्शयति पार्थः. Now Arjuna, he demonstrates a very basic procedure taught in the Shruti that one must surrender unto a guru, a bona fide spiritual master, if he wants to realize the nature of spirituality. We know this injunction that for a person who is interested in spiritual realization, it is mandatory that he approaches Guru. The Guru has been very carefully described as Shrotriyam. Shrotriyam means that he has knowledge of the Shruti, his knowledge of the conclusions of the Vedic literature. Brahmanishtham. He is also fixed in the Supreme Personality of God. Okay. Two things. So, on one hand, he is supposed to be always engaged in spiritual activities only. That means he cannot engage, he is not engaged in adharma, he is not engaging in all these lower activities. He is only engaged in spiritual activities. On the other hand, he is also a learned person. And so he is realized, internally he is realized, externally he has knowledge, both ways. Acharyavan Purushaha Veda. A person who has such a spiritual master, he can know the truth about liberation. So when one approaches the spiritual master, one should approach with a service attitude without any duplicity. Here, Arjuna begins by using the word karpanya, miserliness, miserly weakness. Karpanya dosha means miserly weakness. Miser. Why miser? The original word is kripana. Yoga etadaksharam jaya vidvas asman loka praiti kripana. That person who not realizing the indestructible supreme personality of Godhead and leaves this world, that person is a miser. Iti shravanat abrahma vidvam karpanya. So to not be spiritually realized about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is called miserliness. In other words, you have the facility, you did not use it. Instead of realizing Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, instead of realizing the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Being, you have just utilized it for some materialistic purpose. Just like a very rich man who stores a lot of money and never utilizes it for his good or for anyone else's good is called a miser. A person who has been gifted the human body. The human body, with that one can attain spiritual realization. Lower than human species, one does not have the capacity because he's too much bothered about ahara nidra bhayam, too much bothered about bodily instincts. So he cannot understand. So the human body being given itself is a sign that you are wealthy. You are potentially wealthy. You are not using it. Imagine so much money has been transferred into my bank account, and all I need to do is go to the ATM and pick it up, and I don't do it. And I keep saying, I'm poor, so poor. So nobody gives me money. And then I go begging on top of it. Then people will all criticize. So it is something like that. Okay. Apart from that, he is also dharma sammuda cheta. Dharme sammudham kshatriyasya me yuddham swadharmaha tadvihaya bhikshatanam va ityevam sandhihanam cheta. His mind is doubtful. What exactly is my dharma? Nakshatriya. Should I fight? That is supposed to be my swadharma. But right now, is it my dharma? Or should I go around for begging? Is that my dharma? I'm doubtful. So therefore, now I'm asking you, Yatshayasyam Nishchitam Bruhitam. So I'm asking you, Nishchitam, Ekantikam, Atyantikam Yanmishrayahasya. Now you please tell me what is actually good for me. Actually good for me means that which is ultimately good for me. Ultimately what is good for me. Sadhanottaram avashyam bhavitvam ekantikvam. That which will certainly yield appropriate benefit after I carry out the prescribed process, that is the best thing that can do good for me. And that good should not perish also, which is meant to be imperishable. Sakhayam Tvam Katham Upadishami. You are my friend. How can I instruct you? Shishyaste. No, I'm not your friend now. I'm your disciple now. I'm your Shishya. Please instruct me. Because friends never listen. Sometimes they say okay, sometimes they don't. They say it's not okay. Prabhupada spends a lot of time explaining that we need to accept a bona fide spiritual master. One must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. Otherwise, we cannot get out of material perplexities. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human, who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. On the other hand, is a Brahmana who is intelligent enough to utilize his body to solve all the problems of life. So the Kripanas, the misers, they are just attached to their family. Arjuna also demonstrating attachment to the family. But now he is going to surrender unto Krishna's lotus feet. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious. And now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. So he is surrendering unto Krishna's lotus. Text 8.
Nahi prakasya mimama panubhya yacho pramushoshaname viyanam avapya bhuma katapatnam ridham rajyam suranam atichadvipacham. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which should dry up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrevealed kingdom on earth with sovereignty allied with demigods in
Arjuna was in great distress, and in order to destroy his distress, he has surrendered unto Krishna. Now, this itself is a demonstration of how one should surrender unto one's spiritual master. Soham Bhagavat Shocham. I am in lamentation, my master. From Mam, Bhavan, Shokasya Param Tarayatu, please take me away from this ocean of distress. This is how we surrender unto the bona fide spiritual master. Whatever may happen to me, I am still in unhappiness. It is not that my current situation I am having a problem. even if I get plenty of material prosperity, even if I get a kingdom without thorns, whatever it may be, I will be unhappy because the entire situation is problematic. Now Arjuna has actually understood that being in material existence is a problem. So right now Arjuna is not just talking about this, how to solve this problem of whether it is dharma or not. He's going one step further. He has understood that this is just an indication that being in material existence is just one after another problems are coming. So he wants a total solution to all problems of material existence, not just this one problem of whether it is dharma, it is adharma, and so on. So using that one current problem, small problem, is actually wanting to solve a big problem. That is an indication that this person is actually fit to receive full-fledged spiritual instruction. Tad yathe karma jito loka kshiyate evamevamatra punya jito loka kshiyate. When one realizes that the worlds that he has conquered through piety will also be destroyed, then he understands that actually karma does not solve all the problems. See, when I put out here, kama, then artha, then dharma, then moksha, then bhakti. This is also how the conditioned soul attains spiritual maturity. Initially, one values only kama. Kama refers not only to sexual lust, it refers to all the different types of material gratification, sound, touch, form, taste, smell. Like a small child who wants simply to eat, sleep, just have a comfortable experience. Basically, that's all. The child may not even understand why father and mother are periodically leaving home. They are going to earn money. It does not understand why. They can also be like me and just be comfortable and happy. Doesn't understand that the karma comes from artha. The karma is coming from artha. So at a certain point, the child understands. No, it's something called artha. It is from money that you get karma. And in fact, if you get more money, you get more karma. And when you become even more mature, you understand from where you are getting artha. You are getting it because of sukriti, because of previous piety, previous pious actions. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, Edhamana, Madhakuman. These four, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, these come because of punya. So when he realizes that, then he surrenders to Vedic Dharma and he wants to do those activities by which you can attain punya. Because when you attain punya, then you become lucky. The entire Vedic system is how to make yourself lucky in the future. We keep saying, no, he's so lucky. He's born in such a rich family. This boy, he has so much money that for 250 years, even if he doesn't go for any job, he can, his children, his grandchildren, everybody can enjoy life. That much money he has spent. Oh, this person is so lucky, he's got such a nice, beautiful, and cooperative wife. Or he's so lucky, he's got such a nice house. Or he's so lucky, he's got such a nice job. Or he's so lucky, he's so reputed. He did nothing and said, simply became famous. Just one tweet he put and suddenly became so famous. So this is all signs of punya. Without sufficient punya, one cannot attain material opulences so easily. So when one realizes that it is due to punya that this is happening, then he wants to endeavor to attain dharma. But then, and that information you can only get if you surrender to Vedic authority. But that information is not within your control. So when you become submissive, and then when you investigate, and when you learn from Vedic authorities, you understand. So now you become interested in dharma. Now you have entered into sarvakata. But then you may go through it life after life. Then you learn there are different levels of the material universe. Like human being, opulent human being. Then, on top of it, then finally you have demigods, different levels of demigods, all these things you learn. Then you do pious activities, you go to the heavenly planets and you see for yourself. In that way, you verify it also. So in that way, you get to know that this is all fun. But then after some time, you realize, but everywhere I'm getting problems. Everywhere there is adhyatmika, adhidevika, adhibhautika misery. Everywhere there is dharma, there is janma mrityu jara. Everywhere these problems occur. Isn't there a solution to the pattern of problems? Under all circumstances, I'm facing this. So that is when one realizes that no, there must be something beyond it. That is liberation. That means I have to get freedom from my subtle body and gross body. I have to do something by which I will be taken out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. So then it becomes interested in moksha. But for that, I need to have sufficient spiritual experience, or not even that, sufficient spiritual interest. That amount of interest I need to have. Now Arjuna is demonstrating that here. Arjuna is demonstrating that. He could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence. And it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc., are all useless in solving the problems of life. Like help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is 100% Krishna conscious is a bona fide spiritual master. So he can solve the problems of life. Jai Krishna Tattva say Guru. It does not matter whether a person is a Vipra or is born in a lower family or is a pronounced order of life. If he is a master in the science of Krishna, he is a perfect and bona fide spiritual master. And that has got nothing to do with birth. Here you notice one thing you notice with Arjuna. He is saying, even if you give me sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven, I won't be satisfied. So this is a proper observation. Proper observation. Because he has understood that material happiness is not going to remove material unhappiness. Therefore, if we want to curb lamentation for good, then we have to take shelter of Krishna, as Arjuna is seeking to do. So Arjuna asked Krishna to solve this problem, definitely. And that is the way of Krishna consciousness. So Arjuna has recognized that even if you get pious credits, it will go away. It is like money. You earn money, but you spend money. So like that, you may earn pious credits, punya, but the punya is going to go away. It is not permanent. Text 9.
Having spoken the chastisement of the showing Krishna, rolling the eyes and not and silent.
Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjay disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapa. Although Arjuna was for the time being overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization of Krishna consciousness and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. He specifically told Krishna, I will not fight, and he referred, and Krishna is referred to as Govinda also. Govinda, Sarva Vedagyam. Govinda indicates that Krishna is the possessor of all Vedic knowledge. Krishna is also referred to as Rishikesha. Notice that. Tatra Rishikeshatvan buddhim yudhe pravate vishyati. Because he is the controller of Arjuna's senses, he is definitely going to use Arjuna for the war. He will empower his intelligence, make him do. And because he knows all the Vedas, he is going to convince him that war, Yuddha, that is his Swadharma. Make him understand. Okay, we'll stop with that. We'll have a 10-minute break, not 15-minute break. Huh? No. Maybe not. Don't do. Better you.
Fully, just normal.
No. Fully. Until it goes off. Do you have that kind of technique? After all time, all the kind of knowledge.